At some point, this becomes a conversation. But for now, I'm just going to make mouth sounds. And the theme music.
The future's gonna be just as weird as now is. I promise. The future's gonna be absurd as the past. Be sure of that. The future's gonna be just as weird as now is. I promise. The future's gonna be absurd as the past. Be sure of that.
Welcome to the Nonsensus. It is February 17th, and some of the things that are going on in reality, I saw some photos from the state of Texas the other day. And I believe the state of Texas, the state of Texas is that it's covered in snow. And so is it here in Detroit, Michigan. However, that's more to be expected around these parts. But yeah, I remember the only time that I ever was in Texas was between flights. I really want to go to Texas. I mean, a lot of people are feeling strongly about Texas now. And there's a lot of context behind why there is a great migration south. But myself, for a long time, I've been very interested in Texas, and now it looks more like home. It is covered in snow. I don't know if it is currently, but I remember, yeah, I had a plane flight when I was like a child baby, when I was like a young kid. So it was totally like just being chaperoned places by and with my parents. And we got off at Texas one point, and I got off, and the plane was like, it is really, really, really warm here. And I don't know if, and Chupanumbre has arrived.
Chupanumbre is here.
Hello, Chupanumbre.
How are you? I can't see you. Oh, there you are. I can see you now.
Which of these do you think is better, this or this? This. I think it's this.
Sure, let's go with that. It's a little less all up in your facial. You look less beardly.
Yes, my facial situation has changed. And it's because when I receive facials, when I have too much beard, it's just, there's some things where it's like the physical material can be washed away, but it's just kind of spiritually on there forever. Some people are like this with each other's genitals. Some people are like this, where they're like, I don't care how many showers you've taken, you've still got somebody else's stuff on you, you know?
Oh, yeah. That's a weird thing.
I say grow up.
Yeah, that's a weird thing. I haven't encountered that since I was in like high school, I don't think.
Oh, man, I encountered it heavily. I used to be in rap battle circles, and I recall the homophobia being so strong that it was actually somebody was calling somebody saying you're gay because you eat pussy, because that's had dicks in it. So you must be gay for wanting to put your mouth on a vagina because that's had dicks on it and you know it. So you're like, you just want to put your mouth where dicks are? You must, like it was that was insincerity. It wasn't a joke. It wasn't a meta.
I mean, that's what I think. When I'm like going down to my girlfriend, I'm like, oh, so glad there was totally dicks here before.
Oh yeah, I want to know. I want recent. Like some people are like, yeah, shower. Make sure that you've been vertical for this long so that it comes out. I'm just like, I want don't ask, don't tell polyamory, where you carry on with other people and don't tell me. Don't feel like you have to tell me. Not just that though. I actually want you to strategize so that when I'm going down on you, there has been a recent load shot into you, and I won't mention it. It'll be don't ask, don't tell. I'll just. And then we'll just carry on. Don't ask, don't tell. Was that cum? Was that male cum? Was that? What do you think about?
Nobody needs to know. Nobody needs to know. I did actually read this thing. So I'm in this like group chat. It's like offensive group chat.
Those are
where
great.
We can share things that we can't talk about normally. And there was this Twitter post that this guy was like, "Yo guys, so I was having this like gangbang with my homies, and then one of my friends shot a load into this girl." And some demonic part of me was like, yo, stick it in right after, bro. Stick it in right after. And this guy's like, so I did. And it was heavenly. It was a heaven I'll never understand. And I was like, whoa, okay, bro.
Well, that's one of the reasons for one of the evolutionary benefits of pre-cum is that it's actually it's further lubricating. It makes perfect sense. It's like, okay, like the machine realizes that we're now doing that thing again, and it's like, okay, well, produce a bit that it's coming from both sides, because that might have been the difference maker between. And this, I must invoke the poem put to music of Wet Ass Pussy. Wet Ass Pussy. For those of you just walking into the theater in 2336, perhaps that this has been lost to the annals of time. But there was a song in 2020 or 2019, around there, by Cardi B and Megan Stallion, and it's Wet Ass Pussy, and it is It is a song, rather unapologetically, braggadociously being like, I got this wet ass pussy. You want this wet ass pussy. I have that, and it is, and some of the imagery is, get a bucket and a mop.
Have you ever read the lyrics?
Yes, and every night before I go to bed, I try to prep because I'm constantly trying to put myself
like a bedtime story to yourself.
Yeah, it's to invoke the likelihood that I'll have a sex wet dream.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, does that work? Because it seems like I'm reading the lyrics right now, and
I mean, I could do the Edinburgh thing. There's been several people who have done this before, where you read the lyrics to Wet Ass Pussy in a different. I mean, I could do my David Attenborough.
Look, I need a hard hitter, a deep stroker. I need a Henny drinker and a weed smoker. Not a garden snake. I need a king cobra with a hook in it. Hook in it.
And I'll replace words that I shan't say with turtle.
Why does she want a hook in it?
Beat it up, turtle.
Hope it lean over. She's looking for like a sideways guy. I didn't know that was a thing people are into.
Sideways boys?
Well, it's like she's like, not a garden snake. I need a king cobra with a hook in it. I hope it lean over. So she's looking for sideways little twisty boy.
You've never heard a lady talk about that they prefer a bit of curvature? This is coming from a guy who does not have. I
don't have any curvature.
And this is what I'm getting at. This is why I'm invoking the song "Wet Ass Pussy," is because whenever you openly, I'm not saying, and this is not anything against the song at all. I think that it does more good for culture than bad, or more things that I appreciate value wise, which is like sexual liberation, which is like, fucking like, yeah, I do this, but every time that someone, especially someone famous, who a lot of particularly younger people are looking at, like, this is the ideal way to be, is braggadociously being like, I have this feature, And if you don't see yourself as having that feature, or if you just straight up don't, you know, like if there's a song like I got this big fucking cock, fucking massive fucking dick. I mean, there's songs with those. I don't know if there's an entire song that's like my dick is large. Yeah, there is. There's that my dick. There is. There's that song my dick. Yo,
oh yeah,
dick.
yeah. And there's the magic stick.
Yeah. I mean, well, to claim one's dick as magical. But anyway, what I'm getting at is that like if you are in the celebrity, you know, societally sanctioned, held up as winner, and you are signaling or just overtly saying to the lower classes that it's like, I got this wet ass pussy. There is such a thing where there are those who have difficulty, who have an anatomical situation where becoming automatically moisturized, you know, fucking that achieving a wet ass pussy is less of a thing, or requires more effort, or sometimes just requires straight up, like my preferred is coconut oil. And I have some really like things that might seem kind of shallow that are like, if I were to ever try to attempt like long-term monogamy marriage, like somebody not liking coconut oil, I find coconut oil so, and like I understand the complaints. It has like, if you have too much on there, then when it dries,
I personally hate coconut oil.
I love it. I
personally hate it. I hate most coconut flavored things, except for an almond joy.
I particularly love like lapping obnoxious amounts of coconut oil off. I love the taste. I love the effect. For me, it's the thing that makes it my favorite oil for recreational sexual purposes. Also cooking, which gets really funny. Interesting moments happen because I cook with it and fuck with it. It's like there's definitely been some funny stories that I'm trying to find a situation to live soon, and that really brings down my market value as a roommate. If you know that I might abscond with the coconut oil for cooking and then maybe put it back, so I won't tell that story just now. But anyway.
You did kind of just now. So
back to the wet ass pussy thing. So there's this song, Wet Ass Pussy. It's saying my pussy gets very wet, and that is very good. And somebody out there is like, well, I have difficulty becoming as wet. Does that make me not as you know, is that a problem? And you know, there's no way around that, because then it's just like, what are we just going to not have any lyrics or any moments where any human is expressing pride about something particular about them? But it is always true that there's, you know, my brain always thinks about that. There's somebody who's like, there's somebody who hears wet ass pussy and is like, I require external help, you know, for that.
well, you know, I think this next line in the song could potentially help that person feel better, because macaroni in a pot, you know, that's never really.
That's in there.
Yeah, macaroni in a pot. That's some wet ass pussy. See, you know, like
in a pot. Yeah, it gets really slidey, slippery in there. I know what she's talking about.
Macaroni though, because I think like, I don't know, macaroni.
I mean, sexual imagery is something that it's like, for me, there's something that can make my boner fucking dry out, become an arid desert, just totally die, and move to Nebraska to raise.
Would you have sex with a pot of macaroni? I guess and I guess I would have sex with a pot of macaroni. Now that I really think about it, I would do that.
Sure, I remember that.
As long as it wasn't like scaldingly hot.
Remember in the Patch Adams movie with Robin Williams, where there was that one lady where her make-a-wish was like, I just want to fill a pool up with noodles, because my mother stick my hands in the noodles and squeeze the noodles. And that's like, you know, if there's that is an intense or like notable experience, it's somebody's one thing that gets them hard and or wet.
That's amazing. Isn't it? But yeah, no, I've officially changed my mind about this macaroni in a pot lyric. I'm now a fan.
I'm always thinking about, like, I'm not always thinking about, but so where the pre-coming of the male dick, like, is the pretty much this same reaction as it were a vagina becoming wet.
Oh,
it's like we're doing that, huh?
I get that it's like metaphorically kind of like true, but is that actually true?
Yeah, no, I was
I guess it is. Yeah, it's just lubrication.
It was told to me by straight up biologists that like that's what pre-cum does. Because if you notice, like okay, so there's
dicks basically just outie vaginas anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Like truly, that's what they are. Like your what's the fucking head thing? I'm like actually like reaching down at my dick. That was strange of me. The head is called, what's the actual word? The glands. Yeah, the gland is totally a clitoris, and then totally, the foreskin like is like a clitoral hood. It's like it's obvious to me. I'm always like, this is my boy clit. It's always. That's been
like, have you ever Google image searched micro penis?
I mean, would it still work now, or is this like back in the rotten.com days where the internet was less?
No, you can for sure do it, and they basically just look like clits. Yeah,
and I've you know, so with dicks, we're talking about dicks now. We're talking about pussies and dicks. That's the. And what's your thoughts on the word pussy? Wait, first, I never got to say the thing. Beat it up, turtle, catch a charge, extra large and extra hard. Put this pussy right in your face. Swipe your nose like a credit card. Hop on top. I want to ride. I do a Kegel while it's inside. Spit in my mouth. Look in my eyes. This pussy is wet. Come take a dive. I want to talk about spit in my mouth. I want to talk about that.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Okay, so that to me is edgy. It's 2021, and spit and somebody wanting to have their mouth spit in, that still registers as edgy. As where choking is, I remember back when I thought that was edgy. The first time I encountered that choking is a thing, might have been porn, but I was like, oh, this is some hardcore shit. But like, I recall when I was first verbally asked to choke during sex, and my response was like, we need to have a separate conversation about that. And like it was very plainly said, to the point where it was like, because at that time I used to have like I was raised not like prude, but you know, I had the Protestant upbringing. There was a time where I thought BDSM stuff, I've told you this, like that my perception of BDSM stuff was that it was simulated violence, and that it would be something that you took, like, could seek therapy for. Like, why do you want that? Now I totally get it. I participate. I fucking like totally. Because my whole thing is just like,
But do you spit in mouths?
I am yet to spit in mouth because I have not been asked to. I just personally.
Have you had your mouth been spit in?
No, I have not had. I have not. I mean, there's been spitting on each other's, but not in mouths. No.
Yeah, I haven't partaken either. I've done some pretty freaky stuff in my life, but that's not one of them. Saliva's gross to me.
See, I'm not.
Hold on, let me rephrase. Saliva's not gross to me because, like, obviously I lick the inside of my girlfriend's mouth. So, like, what's the difference? But so you know how like spit is not gross when it's in your mouth. The moment it leaves your mouth, it becomes disgusting.
Some people
kind of like when food touches water. Like, food's totally fine, but the moment it touches water, it somehow becomes disgusting.
I get that. Yeah. Ooh, yeah. Ooh, mashed potatoes.
Yeah. See, touches water and it's completely awful. But that's kind of how spit is. Like, when it's in your mouth, it's fine. But as soon as it leaves your mouth, then suddenly it's become this disgusting, hateful liquid.
Well, it's like how cum has a very short shelf life. Have you noticed?
I haven't noticed. I generally kind of get rid of it basically immediately.
You've got a matter of minutes. You've got a matter of minutes. This is gross.
What happens?
The viscosity changes. It both visually, coloration will change.
What color does it turn?
I mean, how long are we talking here?
Oh no, I've never tried
different. Loads are very different. I just love being So
what did you just like come on something and just leave it?
Yeah, like a black towel.
And just leave it.
What do you mean? Well, I mean, like, I'm gonna wash the towel, but like for a bit. I'm talking like within minutes. First, there's yes, there's drying up, but there's also there's if it's in enough of a pool, it will change in form, and smell will become a thing. But like loads are different, dude. Like I have really asked a lot about this. That loads seem to change based in diet, based in like how much it's stored up, and that makes sense too, because I'll experience the thing where if you have like medical blue balls, like if you were like it was in the chamber and didn't get to release, and then somehow you're able to get towards over like 10, 20, like a couple days later in that, because that is possible, uncomfortable, but it's like that's now has been out of its its womb, you know, where it's supposed to stay in its you know ideal situation.
I never thought of that. So what happens?
It can just be a very different load, man. There's loads. I mean, I'll experience these loads sometimes that are like that are very like rubber cement that's had a couple minutes with an air dryer with an air dryer on it. Like
that's when you're dehydrated.
Yeah, and it probably does have a lot to do with that. I've had a time where it was like, and I'm not like because I would for me, like the thing of like, there are things that I think that we wish to do for each other as lovers, not necessarily you and I, but like, you know, there are things that are like, to me, I completely relate with. If I know what a girl wants, what a girl needs, then I want to do that, unless it's something that completely like is out that like disturbs.
Have you had any requests that you've said no to?
I mean, at first, the first time being asked to choke before I knew that was.
You're like, no, I will not soil my.
No, I wasn't like a no. It was like I was just very apprehensive, like, and then like the first time actually doing is like this, and it's like, what is it? And it's almost like okay, can we have like a separate conversation where it's like this much, or like you actually want your like airwaves cut off, and then like, you know, you only verbally was I able to arrive at, this is what is good about this. This is what I want. That it's the, you know, there's the actual physiology. I mean, this is the theory behind autoerotic asphyxiation is getting to the point where you're like on the edge and then letting go, and then there's something about the blood as the whoosh, but it's also just this thing of like,
there's a lot to it. I've heard a lot of different things from a lot of different people. It's a complex thing that you can get into for a lot of different reasons.
Totally, it's the hurt me but make me feel safe. It's the pressure, I want to feel your strength thing. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, fear and safety and the same thing. Like it's an extremely complex thing, and I'm really kind of getting curious as to like what made it suddenly seem to be such a very common thing. Because like you were saying earlier, like choking used to be kind of like a taboo thing, where like spitting in the mouth, for me, I'm kind of like, ooh, geez, I don't really want to do that. I mean, I've done gnarlier stuff than that. That one's just particularly gross to me, but it now seems like normal. And it's like, that's just kind of what you do. Like, that's a part of sex. And how did it get to that point?
Well, okay, so I'll get back to choking, but with the spitting, I think that what really sets it aside from choking is Sanchez here says getting choked out in general just feels good. I wouldn't say that for the spitting. It is the theatrical, histrionic display of disrespect and
yeah, that's pure psychology.
And so, and now I wonder about that. Is like, is it like a clinical therapist? What if you did share to them? It's like, I'm wondering about why I want to be flat out denigrated sexually. Like, what about that is so hot? And I wonder, are these things to be kept separate? You know, like, is there such thing as having a fetish that is like, oh, I should see what that's stemming from? Or is it always like, is it therapy? Is it the therapy? Because I've seen it for, go for it.
My view on it is that it's a little bit of both, you know, because I have some fantasies and I have some things that I enjoy that from a certain perspective, if viewed without certain context and understanding, one might say, wow, bro, you're kind of fucked up, aren't you? But because I know where it comes from and I am connected to the parts of myself that generate this desire and this fantasy, I can integrate them and kind of have conscious control over them.
Was that your car?
I think so. I think I sat on my keys. And it set off my alarm. And when it comes to the denigration thing, like I think a lot of times that comes down to shame, you know, in that like maybe you have shame that you already are dirty or you already are bad or you already are naughty or whatever the thing might be. You have this view of yourself in relationship to sexuality, and then getting to play that out, you know, in a safe container where it's welcome and allowed can be really fucking awesome. Like I remember growing up as a Jehovah's Witness and really having to repress all of my sexuality and really like not even allowed to go to sex ed, not allowed to talk about it. Not like if I have sex before I'm married, I'll get kicked out of my family and my religion and never get to talk to anybody. It's just like the highest levels of shame and repression you can get. And so my fantasy was to have like an older, more dominant woman, like make me have sex with her. And I wanted that because I wasn't allowed to want it for myself. And so if I could have somebody else come in and like make me have the experience, then I could have the experience without having to admit that I wanted it and without having to be the one to go after it myself, because I wasn't allowed to do that. I would lose everything if I did that. But if it's done to me, then it's like, well, it's not my fault.
I had 2 experiences where, and I may have been wrong, but I had 2 experiences, as in 2. Well, one was just a single experience because me and this person never were romanticexual after this, because I was like really fucking scarred and put off by it. I think I've told you this long form story before. I'm not going to do with that. But then there was another person where just like over the course of years, it's like we just failed to connect after a certain point. And what I'm not going to be detailed about it, but like what I witnessed, what was going on was precisely that. It's like I'm only going to engage in this way if there's something where I'm inebriated to a certain degree. And these things were said verbally at other times, but then my being verbal would be like, I need you to say that this is when you feel comfortable. And then when you're in that state, then I'd be okay with it. But I would actually like, there'd be times where she'd be in an inebriated state and stuff. And like, I have policy about drunk and drugs with sex that I think, you know, I don't have like, that my rules are the rules, but I think it's just an easy way to get around that. Of like, don't have like the first time that you go past certain levels of affection with someone happen when one or both of you is after a certain point of affected, you know. It's like to the point where there's
I get you.
Where there's any argument to be made that it's like, yeah, because I've heard so many. I've heard the lamentations of that like morning after college experience of like walk of shame sort of thing, like waking up next to someone, waking up next to someone that you wouldn't, that the words you would say is, I wouldn't have fucked them. Like that to me, like that would cause such, I would feel so wretched about that for years. I would log that for years because I knew, because I'll have the thought. I'm like so I just, my like layers of safety around that is really helped with like verbally, and people need to be fucking obvious with me, or it's like, you know, it's such a routine thing that we have reached as a conversation, as a relationship, where then it's not so much a thing. But like the initial time, and I think that I've missed out on a lot of what could have been fun things, could have been traumatizing things, but I was always disturbed by the idea of someone being fucking drunk, man. Someone being fucking, or at least
that's very knightly of you. It's very noble of you.
Yeah, and I don't want to virtue signal about it. It was more so like that, just like, I'll put it this way, like it causes me a ton of pain when I can weave a story that I was somehow predatory or even just like inconsiderate. You know, I will beat myself up about that for a while. So whatever.
Yeah, that's interesting to me. How we kind of made that collective cultural shift from like, if you fuck somebody that you kind of regret when you're drunk, of being like, that's that thing that happens. Sometimes you fuck people when you're drunk when you wouldn't have when you're sober. Like, And now we've kind of, and I know, and I get that there's a spectrum here and there's a line here, but we've started to look at that as if it's the guy raping the girl. And that's really quite interesting and interesting and kind of bizarre.
What do you mean by started look?
Well, we didn't really used to look at it that way. We used to look at it. I mean, there's definitely versions where a guy will take advantage of a girl because she's drunk. I'm not talking about that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not talking about like a guy sees the girl passed out and then still tries to have sex with her. Like, that's clearly wrong. That is clearly rape. It's clearly not what the fuck I'm talking about. That is an awful, terrible thing to do. But what I'm talking about is like when two people are drunk on college campuses now, if the guy is drunk and the girl is drunk and they have sex and then the girl regrets it later, that is now cause to call that rape. And that's interesting.
Yeah, that particular one. I mean, in really archaic times, it was both were, but like sometimes both would be punished or just the woman would be punished. I mean, there's still places where that happens.
Yeah, where just the woman's punished. Yeah, that's fucked.
Oh yeah, there was definitely times in history I know where you would be flogged the same, like you would be punished with your assailant. Yeah.
Wow.
Wait, so I'm really curious about this. Sanchez says, don't use the word predatory. What, is that a buzzword now? Is that or are you saying because, why not? I'd like to hear you expound on that. Because I just think about, okay,
well, when you said that, my ears kind of perked up. I'm like, is that predatory?
Okay, I mean, I'll use the full thing is I am accusatory of myself of being the thing that I've, and I feel like very, very, very early this was put on. I mean, Gaston in fucking
Beauty and the Beast.
Beauty and the Beast. Yeah, it's like I was very young when and doesn't that signal to you? It's like this is how not to be. You see how he just like wants to objectify her and just like he doesn't give a single fuck that like Belle's into books. Belle, oh look, that girl is so peculiar, and he's just like, oh, but she's beautiful, and that would earn me points amongst the villagers, and that would be, and like not even predatory. He's just like he's just thinking he's just trying to have a masturbatory experience with a living organism,
Bro, well, this is completely off topic, but one of these days, will you like do a story time thing where you like go through a story but like tell the whole thing? Because that little Beauty and the Beast intro was
sure.
Great.
Again, I have a thing that I feel like I push back against years of when I was inadvertently virtue signaling about a great number of things, and doing the thing where you signal virtue, but you're not really like doing that stuff, or you virtue signal so much about what you don't do that is evil, and you just shame others that do is bad, and also I like mutual sexual objectification. I'm fucking so down for that. Also, an interesting thing about it is like I fucking love the idea, and I love experience that I have where I was fucking totally like objectified. One in particular that I tell the story of like where somebody like the first time that I experienced just being like totally used. There was no way for me to craft a narrative that this person liked me. It was obvious.
Oh yeah. This is a good story. I love it.
And I felt so whole, like WHOLE. I felt so complete as I was being abandoned once I wasn't useful. It was so great. I'm like, I've been used. Oh,
Why? So what did that mean to you? Why did you have that reaction?
Because the grass is greener on the other side. It's the thing of the human condition. It was novel. I was used to. I think that I looked at particularly like my first and only kind of like long-term relationship from age 14 or 15 to 17. And it was like, this was a situation that people would comment in front of us. They would be like, oh, he must be some sort of artist or something. Cause she was like observably hot and of universal value. And like there were times at concerts where like a broy dude would come up, like look me over and be like, is he rich? And so I had
what was that like?
Oh, totally. I mean, I wonder if I was offended. I don't think I was offendable back then. I don't think I've been offendable at any point. I'm pretty much.
I can see myself being proud in a situation like that.
Yeah, no. Yeah, totally. But so I had an overabundance of time spent with this thing of like, I am validated by thy lover because of my personality or character or interesting things about me. And as where a common story that we hear is a super beautiful, if there's a universality to beauty, sometimes you can observe, you can scroll through Instagram and you may identify someone where it's like, I bet she does well, it's just, it's not universal, but sometimes you can see it's like, oh, yep, you're a
might as well be.
You are as we say, hottie, baddie. Anyway, so yeah, having a bunch of, and one of my first experiences of sex and relationship being like predicated on kind of like when people say Melania wouldn't be with Trump if he was a plumber, if he was worked at a bowling alley, that it was like said, so overtly said to me, it's like this person may not find you pretty, or that's not like the thing, that it's like she likes me for me. So I had such I had an over, like, it wasn't novel to me being appreciated for my personality. Oh, I brought up the hot chick thing because the hot chick archetype, like, you will meet a lot of like a common story or need, a deficit is, I have been appreciated so much and sucked up to, and red carpet laid out before me without anyone even taking time to get to know me, just because they're beautiful, just physically attractive, that it's like, does anybody even know me enough to love me? As and sometimes there is a person who, and I think that everybody can change and evolve, and it's usually people get encouraged to show other sides or lean into parts of themselves. But sometimes there will be the archetype of the extremely beautiful and quite vapid empty vessel. That's a thing.
Yeah, and which is interesting because this comment is fucking fascinating to me because it flips the script in a really interesting way that shows like the mutual using of this. Because like we say, like Melania wouldn't be with Trump if he was a plumber, and we often take that as a dig against Trump without thinking that, like, yeah, he wouldn't be with her if she wasn't hot. Like this is a mutual using. But then again, I think like the common archetype of like the really young gold digger and like the guy doesn't know that she's faking it. I think that's really sad. Like when the guy thinks that it's real and the girl's clearly just using him, like that is sad as fuck. But in this other thing, like it really does kind of make it show how it's a completely mutual using for different reasons.
Yeah, well,
they seem to have no affection for each other.
There's that thing of that most, not all, but like by average, more males are interested in things and women are interested in people, like that. So that might make sense to that. There was like a 50s commercial.
People know that's a psychological study. That's not a sexist thing to say. It's not an opinion. That's psychological reality.
Well, it could also be called just physiology. It's an evolutionary trait. It's like stuff. I do things with stuff. I'm preparing to be able to, Nala Simba.
Create people and nurture people and build people, which is a fucking hell of a thing.
Jesus Christ. Yeah. Of all there, I will say that the thought that is most like, I don't want to use the word triggering, so I'll just say it invokes a feeling of it scares the fuck out of me to think about, even though I don't have a uterus. Oh yeah, labor. Oh yeah, pregnancy and labor. Oh gosh. So
I recently had my back go out. I don't know if you've ever had that experience.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Well, so it's a very specific experience. It's a very specific type of back going out. The type of, I think I was telling you about this when it happened. My back went out to the degree that for about 3 or 4 days, if I moved at all, it triggered this, like, what felt like minutes, but was probably maybe 10 seconds worth of just searing pain. But it was like this tightness that felt like it was going to snap my back at the base of it. It was like 3 days of that. And I couldn't sleep. It was 3 full days of it. And it was the most painful thing I ever experienced in my entire life, to the point where it started to be hallucinogenic. Like I started to hallucinate and like the world kind of stopped. It started feeling like fake dream acid world to me after a little while, because the pain was just so intense and it wouldn't stop for so long that I started to kind of dissociate in this really kind of weird way. And it made me think that that must be like I'm not even going to like some fraction of what birth is like. And it's really interesting to think about it because the pain is really bad, but after it goes on for a little while, your brain does weird things with the pain.
Mm.
Your brain can start to like tune you out and make the world feel less real and make it feel more dreamy. And like the pain is still happening and you're still suffering and you're aware that you've never felt pain like this before. And like you can't imagine going through it. Like you think it'll kill you and it just keeps going. And then your mind starts to shift and then your brain starts to flood like happy chemicals amongst the pain. And so it just becomes this really bizarre dreamlike thing. And so I think when as men we conceptualize childbirth as just like nonstop searing pain, like I think we also forget like what the brain does to you when you're in pain like that.
Well, I've experienced pretty bad constipation before, especially as a youngling. I remember this one time at a ski lodge. I remember that it was at a ski lodge situation and I always hated the ski trips. But I did like being at the lodge. Anyway, I remember being at this condo ski lodge situation and being so tremendously constipated that it was like that was birth. And I did not experience at any point any kind of like bliss or any kind of,
well, did you go through it for hours though?
Yeah, well, it's like the people that hang themselves on hooks, and I've talked extensively with people who hang themselves from hooks, impalation. I've known some impalers, and they talk about that it's like, oh yeah, it sucks when the hook is being stabbed through, but then once you're hanging for a while, it is just this euphoria.
Yeah, because that's what I'm saying. Like the constipation thing, I imagine it probably didn't last for multiple hours. It was probably like maybe you were there for an hour. Like I'll give you like to be really generous, maybe you were sitting there for an hour squeezing this thing out. But by the time it starts to hit the 5-hour mark, or by the time it starts to hit the like, holy fuck, I should be asleep mark.
Yeah.
Or the like, this has really been going on for a long time and I haven't gotten a rest mark, like ayahuasca or something like that.
Yeah.
Like once it starts to go on to that long period of time, that's when your brain's like,
and delirium,
weird with
being delirious versus being like blissful, euphorious, or we say slap happy. That slap happiness. That's a great state. If there was a drug that just put you there, I love that state. Sometimes it's really great for hanging out with your buddies.
Oh, and I don't know if childbirth for humans is worse than childbirth for what are they called? Hyenas.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, Sanchez says, remember, childbirth hurts for humans way more than any other mammal. I tend to think when people say that they're assuming what the dolphin experience is, like, the thing that gets said all the time that dolphins are the only other ones that have sex for pleasure. Like, how do you know that snails aren't loving that? Have you seen snails?
Turtles seem like they love it.
Oh,
you hear the sounds that turtles make? He's like,
dude, I will have orgasms sometimes where it's like I could have a deadpan face. Like sometimes it is so underwhelming. Sometimes it's great, but sometimes it is nothing to write home about.
I mean, turtles basically make the same sounds I do when like they have to be enjoying it. I make that same face. Like I know.
You used to be into a bunch of spiritually shit. Did you ever do tantra stuff? I know nothing about that.
No, I was more of the BDSM side of things.
There could be tantric BDSM for sure, right?
No, there is. I just never got into it. I mean, so when you say, so it's interesting because I would never, or I don't follow things like tantra or really any guided anything. I don't really follow structures of any kind. I kind of just make up my own. But my girlfriend really likes tantra or tantra. And I'd be willing to bet that a lot of what we do is that, but I just don't know the words for it.
That's how I like to live too. That's how I like to live. And there's some people who have such a boner about dogma that they don't phrase it as that. But it's like you are into the thing where you like remixing old shit. Like you think it's super cool. And one of the things that's so interesting with that is kids in other kids in America, you know, who like a very common story is, you know, you have monotheism, particularly, you know, Judeo-Christian stuff, like kind of forced upon you as a child. And so you think that it's just so fucking lame once you become intellectually liberated. And now you find Eastern stuff and you're like, oh, this is so fucking rad. This is so cool. And but like I've seen people go for years and years, never confronting the fact that there are like that Kumare documentary. Yeah. Like it starts off with him being like, in America, everybody's so obsessed with yoga and stuff. And I see so many people doing like pop Hinduism, so many American kids. And it's like we feel the same way in India, like, or some do, where it's like, this is the thing that we were brought up with. This is the thing that we were forced about. This is not cool to us. This is not, or this is not novel, you know? And yeah, that thing, I now have an intellectual self-defense for it. It's like, just because I'm discovering something and it's new to me, don't mean that there's somebody out there who's eye-rollingly jaded about it, you know?
Yep.
The only way not to be is to do what we're saying is we prefer is the way of just come up with some shit, or just find the thing that makes your emotions do the thing, where you're fucking genuinely excited.
Yeah, that's my thing. Like if I were to have a personal dogma, I guess it would be like a handful of quotes from different people. And one of them would be, if you follow that which is most alive in you, it will lead you to God, even if it doesn't seem like it. It's a Carl Jung quote. And I live as though that is dogmatically and axiomatically just the way it is.
Yeah, I think that we have the two quotes that we really agree on. But it's so funny that you say that your old therapist said it to you, because I swear I found that along the way. There is an in here, there is an in here, out there. There is no out there. Like that is axiomatic to me. Yeah. So yeah, whatever brings you to God. That quote, which is Jung, right? Yeah. Yeah, and then the in here, out there. And then my third is kindness is intelligence, and that's just a non-negotiable, like the word choice that I'm making. You are not being smart if you are not also existing in a way where you can coexist with others in this fucking in this world without
that's a good one.
Having to come to conflict. So Sanchez did follow up on what he meant by when he was saying don't use the word predatory. He says,
hold on, you do that real quick. I really have to pee. I'm gonna grab that.
Okay. He says don't use the word predatory in that context. Or you're telling me to use a less heavy word because, and your words now, predatory puts intention on you and makes you sound like you wanted a victim personally. I get what you mean, but ... And I get what you mean, Sanchez. I get it. And that's what I'm saying is I have this built in, and I could work on this. And it's like, I am working on this because this is what ultimately, wrong word, ultimately. There seems to be a mechanism that I observe that if we have internalized shame about something that is actually not dangerous or, you know, immoral, and obviously morality is super subjective thing, but there are some things that we're ashamed about that we don't need to be. And until we don't have that internalized shame signal about it, it's very hard to enjoy those things. And with sexuality stuff in general, it's like there is a malaise of shame about that is culturally imbued in a lot of us. I would say most of the cultures of Earth, that's not where it could be in terms of like sex positivity sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, where should we even be with that in general? Like Because I've been recently having this thought that like I look on the internet and I scroll through all the things and I'm like, you know what? Maybe there is such thing as too much sex. Like maybe we're overdoing it a little with the
Well,
sex.
back to Tantra. I've got a thing on that from Tantra. That this is discussed in Tantra. I've heard this put in tantric terminology of how it may be helpful to not always blast your load every half hour, like that. That's that it's called a load for a reason. And when I think about it as a, just to put it scientifically, like a calorically expensive marshmallow, then it's like, all right, that helps me delay the marshmallow. The marshmallow test. They offer a kid a marshmallow. Weird segue. Offer a kid a marshmallow. But say, now if you wait, you get 2 marshmallows a little later, and most kids will take them all. But the ones who don't tend to do better in life because they understand delayed gratification, and delayed gratification is how you do the thing. It's a huge thing in my life because I'm capable of pressing the red button and going live and being, interesting enough. I have a gift of I can become excited a lot of time. There's sometimes where I'm incapable of being excited, and then doing freeform talking is like that is impossible, and you can tell when I'm not excited to exist and I'm trying to be excited. But the thing where you can show up with something that you prepared, like you can't write a song without delayed gratification. You never learn a language. Well, learn a new language as an adult. Like there are some things where you must have mechanisms and disciplines in how you deal with delayed gratification. And there are some who think that it's this psychospiritual, energetic thing of like you want to have as much cum in your tum tum. I mean, you want to have as much you want to save it up. You want to save it up because that's your stuff, That's what some people think. I'm not sure. I've noticed the placebo nocebo thing heavy with me with the tantric cum storing thing, like because if I convince myself of something like I've got 7 days worth of fucking cum in me, I am fucking super powerful right now, then that might help if I believe it.
Then why do all the world's most successful sports stars seem to fuck all the time?
I'm not on team store your loads. I'm on team. I'm on team. It's best to do it later in the day. If like there's something there, like it's great to have morning sex, but I do experience days being different because it's like, okay, I woke up and within a half hour of waking up, I won. Now what?
Yeah, I can never masturbate in the morning.
What about sex?
Wait, what?
What about sex?
Oh, sex doesn't. I don't get tired after sex.
But morning time coming. Do you think? Do you experience that the days
like if I have sex in the middle of the day, it's like energizing. Even if I finish, it's energizing.
I agree.
Pretty much only fall asleep after sex, like if I'm stoned and it's late at night.
Yeah. This is interesting. Sanchez says seven deadly sins, Greek, not Christian version, explain that lust is the overindulgence of any action. We call this addiction. I think a lot of things get changed in translation like that.
That's interesting.
Because because like we say bloodlust, it's like, as a warrior, there's a certain level of you're enjoying slaughtering motherfuckers that works in your favor. I mean, if that's your job, it's probably best for you to enjoy it. But if you have a bloodlust, no, I definitely think that somebody would be like, who should we send first? It's like, oh, definitely Carl. He's got a bloodlust like a motherfucker. Like he'll work out.
Yeah. So speaking of which, I've been reading. Have you ever heard of the series Berserk?
I watched it. I watched what I could on Netflix. I watched the 3 movies.
The 3 movies. What'd you think?
Oh my God, it was so good, and the fucking
Isn't it amazing?
Finale was so fucked.
Yeah.
Oh my God, those bastards. That hurt me. That I fell asleep the night before the finale happened. And then and my roommate was watching it with me. And I wake up the next morning and there's something where it was not that he called me from work and I was like, yeah, I'm about to finish up, because I fell asleep last night. He's like, you're about to start your day by watching the finale. And I did, and it went, oh my God, it's so fucking intense.
Isn't that the best shit in the world? That's why I've been obsessed with the manga, dude. I bought those big leather volumes of the manga. I have 6 giant leather volumes that are like this fucking thick. Because the manga is like, that's just the movies are just one arc of the whole series. And the series has been being written for like over 30 years.
Wow.
So there's a ton of arcs, but they're all in comic book form.
That?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh my God. What happens to Phoenix is so fucked.
Yeah.
My God.
Yeah. So I highly recommend reading the manga. It's my favorite thing. I'm fucking obsessed with it right now.
Being tortured round the clock for a year, unable to move, that would be bad.
Yeah. Getting all of your shit severed and your tongue cut out and watching some motherfucker wear your tongue around his neck. Like,
you think you're having a bad day? No.
Yeah, you're not. You're absolutely not.
Yeah.
But anyways, that series has gotten me to reflect on a lot of different things that I've never really reflected on before. Like resolve, like Griffith got me to examine my relationship with resolve.
I said Phoenix earlier. It's Griffith. Yeah, Griffith. Sorry.
Yeah. So Griffith got me to examine my relationship with resolve and like where my resolve is, and is it strong enough to actually achieve my goals, and like if I had to make sacrifices, like where would they, like how far would I go, and that sort of thing. And Guts kind of in this conversation is thinking of Guts, and I was examining where in my life I could potentially generate the level of malicious hatred that he has for Griffith and all of demon kind.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me think of like, what would it take for me to like hate something so much that I enjoyed its suffering?
It's been, I used to, I thought like that so much when I was like preteen and teenager. I would say from age 13 to it tapered off and was done by age 18. In fact, by age 18, I was all like into late Beatles and like super duper, but just trying to overcompensate with the other extremity of like peace, unity to a naive degree. Because I spent from age 13 to 17 being so obsessed with the macabre and ultra violence and leaning into this idea that it's like, I am a serial killer. It's just, when's my career going to start? Well, I'm in high school. Like I would, and what the fuck is it about that? Is it like, what is it? Is there a way to like, because I'm thinking about, I might be a parent one day. It is apparent to me that at some point I might want to do that. I think I want to do the adopting thing, but I will be the curator of someone's consciousness experience. And is there a way to get around this thing where puberty hits and you just fucking like, it's more than just rebelling. It's you become like kind of anti-life, or some do. Is it just because it was made cool? Is it just a fashion thing? Or is it like, it was so intense, like the things that I was saying, my journals and stuff back then.
Well, it's like it's the beginning of forming your own individual identity. And so to a large degree, you become self-aware and in a way that you weren't before. And so it's really easy to get down on your situation, like especially like because you see yourself and all the things that you want to do and you can't do them. You have no control. You have no power in your life. You don't get to make any of your decisions. You don't get to choose anything about your reality. Maybe you get to pick what clothes you wear. And maybe you get to, like, I didn't even get to pick my friends because I was raised as a Jehovah's Witness. So I didn't get to hang out with kids that weren't in my church. And so it's real easy to start to hate your life and hate your family, especially if they're not like you and if they don't get you. And if they don't support you, and they're the arbiters of your reality, like you said. And so it's real easy to start to hate your situation when you're a teenager.
And I think that's how the same thing is going on with the fetishes. Like there's some that occur to me as kind of obvious, the psychodynamics that are going on there, like wanting to be tied up and fucked. Like that has always made sense to me. It's like, oh, this is a person who feels like their life has too they spend too much time in scenarios with too much time for them. Like they feel overwhelmed by how much they have to be in control, or there's something about control there, right? There's something that is blissful and euphoric or intimate and trusting about, like, I am unable to move. I am rendered totally out of control, and I trust you to fuck me whilst I'm like that. Not you particularly, Chris, but you know what I mean. I speak from the editorial.
I like it. I like having my hands bound. Actually, I remember I was with a good friend of mine, and she had these like really heavy, like old school handcuffs, like really like you put them on your hand, they go like that, like really heavy ones. And it was in her like sex bag of tricks and stuff. And she was showing them all to me. And I don't remember, maybe I asked her to put them on me. She asked him to put them on me. I don't remember. But as soon as she put them on me and I felt the weight of them, like, I can't even tell you this, like this intense calm just like I just completely relaxed.
That's the ticket, you know when it's happening. And I think with this fetishistic stuff, I used to think of all things that were like really complex fetish stuff, like things that seemed too cerebral. I would react to that of like, if you ask me what my fetish is, it's just like somebody that I think is super hot. And, I would just be like, yeah, what are you into? It's like, girls that I find hot, girls that I find, that, yep. That's what I'm. And now you become a more cerebral person. And the thing, this is something that I actually like about getting older and having sex drive not being this like overwhelming all the time. Like I remember NRB, no reason boner.
Yeah. You called them that too. That's awesome.
Yeah, like in high school, there would be these times where it's like, shit, shouldn't have worn these pants today. Because it's like,
I thought my friend came up with that. It's amazing, these universal things that show up.
NRB, no reason.
Yeah, I thought my friend Danny made that up.
No reason. And, I don't feel like I'm coming out of a closet so much now at 32 years old. I've experienced a few times from drugs or just like maybe jerking off to porn too much, where your reward systems are messed up. Like I have had times where I've been in a situation where both parties really wanted there to be a boner and there wasn't. And that's a very different problem from having a boner when you don't want one. But that used to be, I remember that being a thing that would cause numerous moments of embarrassment, or like, oh, I don't want, because and I used to wonder about people naked at Burning Man. It's just like, does anybody ever just get a boner? Because like no reason boners just, will just happen.
I know. I think about that too. It's like, bro, that's a gamble.
Yeah. So thing that I like about getting older and just having that, obviously this get to a point where it's like, if it's all the time a struggle to have an erection, then that would be its own problem. That would suck. But one thing that's cool about it not being so overwhelming all the time is that I'm finding my thing, that it's like, that's something that's more cerebral and complex that really gets the fucking crank going, As where I never used to relate with people who had cerebral things, role playing and stuff like that. It's like I just fucking want to be super attracted to someone and for there to be optimal friction.
Yeah, well, I think it's like it takes a certain level of psychological complexity, and at a certain point, like when you're a teenager, especially, I mean, I don't know about you, but for me, it was like, yeah, I just want the girl that I think is hot to think I'm hot, and then I want us both to touch each other's genitals.
Yep, that was
much all I really cared about.
That was it for a while.
Yeah, yeah, and I think, well, like we didn't just, for me personally, I just didn't get exposed to a lot of that stuff until later. And I think there's an interesting thing now in where like a lot of kids know about, maybe not kids, well, definitely kids, but like people know about this stuff way younger than we did. And it's become normalized in a way that it wasn't when we were kids.
It's funny to read this in context of now. Zod the Immortal illustrated when he told Guts that their friendship is the path to hell for many people.
I don't know. I don't think you can call Guts evil. I don't think it's fair to call Guts evil.
I don't think it's fair to say that someone is, unless evil is like PTSD. PTSD is one of the more clearly understood as like this. You now meet the criteria for this disorder because of something that happened, and it is possible for you to no longer meet the criteria one day. And I think that being evil is a state like that. But the way we react to evil.
Well, yeah, but in a narrative sense, there can be evil characters.
Sure. Oh, yeah. Like babyface heel in pro wrestling. Yeah, sure. Villains. Yeah.
But I don't think you can call Guts. I don't think you can call Guts evil, because like one of my favorite distinctions between Griffith and Guts, and Zach, I really want you to read the manga, because I would love to have an entire conversation with you about it, because in my opinion, Berserk is one of the best character studies of the hero archetype, because one of the main distinctions between Guts and Griffith is whether or not they can look at their own unconscious. That's one of the biggest distinctions between them. Like you see Griffith doing a lot of things that Guts doesn't really do. Like Griffith was self-harming himself because he didn't want to face his emotions. And so he's like scratching into himself until he makes himself bleed. And he does that because he doesn't want to face his emotions. And he does, and the reason that he goes after the princess afterwards and just makes a complete mess of himself is because he doesn't really understand what's happening to him when Guts leaves. And so he lashes out in some weird way. But the thing about Guts is that he's willing to be vulnerable. He's willing to face himself. He's willing to tell the truth about what he feels, and he's willing to learn from himself and integrate his own wisdom. Mm-hmm. And so because of that, he stays on the heroic path. Whereas Griffith breaks from the heroic path. He doesn't really ever truly become a hero in the mythological sense of it. And so that's why he becomes this like deformed version of himself. I think it's one of the most beautiful metaphors of what happens when somebody with vision walks the heroic path versus what happens when somebody doesn't. Mm-hmm. And so Guts can walk into these like horrific lifestyle that he has to live for as long as he exists, but he can do it, and he can still have friends, and he can still have warmth, and he can still have heart, and he can still have all of the things that make him human, even while facing unfathomable darkness on the regular. And I think that's particularly what makes the story so good, and what makes it so beloved by so many people is that distinction.
I got a tangent to set you on, and then I'm going to urinate here.
Good.
And this stems off of what I was saying about, like, PTSD is a state. You meet a criteria for this, list of symptoms, and the circumstances that brought that about were spending time in a dangerous situation or a traumatic event, right? And it is possible, and there are numerous stories of someone no longer meeting the criteria of PTSD. Now with evil, I notice a lot that evil is that becoming evil, and particularly seeming evil, signaling that you're fucking scary and I'll kill you in nasty ways, like Vlad the Impaler, right? It's like that. There was a lot of fitness in that. It made sense for him to signal loudly, I will kill you so badly in such a horrific way. Don't fuck with me. And it makes perfect sense as a defense mechanism. I will make it so obvious to anyone who lays eyes upon me that you do not want these fucking problems. And so seeming as evil as you can by doing evil shit, and wearing evil banners, like that's a defense mechanism. Sure. And it seems throughout history, it looks really obvious that that's mostly what was going on. The individual serial killer is its own thing, because it's like, okay, this person sometimes doesn't want to be observed. It's all about that.
That's the whole thing.
Yeah. So that seems to me like evil, right? That's especially when there's no social aspect. It's like, I need to, not not myself, but you know, and people vibe with serial killers. They understand where it's coming from. But those are so
I totally get it.
So yeah, what do you think about the question of evil? You know, taking into account how much evolutionary sense it made for a while, because it kept you safe, it kept you alive to look like you're the spikiest, baddest ass motherfucker who will fucking put your head on a pike.
Well, that actually, you know, kind of coincides with this comment that we got, talking about that most normal people would never consider Guts a good character. And the reason for that, and so, you know, you were asking, what story is this? It's a story called Berserk. There's a series of 3 movies you can watch on Netflix. And then there's 2 anime series. One is good and one is not. But it's mostly a series of books, and it's my new favorite series, fiction series that I've ever read. And the main character is this guy, and he's for a lot of the series, he's a really giant douche to everybody that he meets. Like, there's this old man who like saved his life, and the old man's like on a cane, and Guts just like kicks his cane out from under him, like just because he wants to be a dick. And that's like one of the first chapters in the book. And this guy saved his life and everything. But you learn that a big part of the reason why he's like this is in order to not only kind of protect himself, but also to protect other people, because he has to walk this really terrible path where he's constantly being attacked by these evil creatures and all these sorts of things. And so him being an asshole and him basically telling you that he'll kill you is his way of keeping you away from him so that you don't have to be in danger. And so I think that's a really interesting take on that particular archetype. But as far as the Vlad the Impaler thing, like, it's not fun to think of it in the context of that's what was necessary and that's what was needed, and that was actually the right call at the time. But as far as I'm concerned, like, as far as I understand anyways, that he was kind of outgunned and outmanned, and kind of being that terrible was a really good way to keep people away, was to, like, kind of like you said, Zach, was like, I will not only fucking kill you, but I will kill you in the worst possible way and put you on display. So, like, maybe think twice about going here. And to a certain degree, I think all of us do actually need that. I think the degree to which we need it now in modern society is, like, I scaled it out. I think you don't need people to be afraid that you'll kill them, but you do need people to be afraid, maybe not even afraid, but just to know that messing with you won't be easy and it won't be worth it. I think as long as people know that you're not an easy target and you won't go down without a fight and you won't make it easy for them, I think as long as people know that, they'll generally stay away.
I think that's well over 50% of people will not fuck with you if you appear to be the wrong one to fuck with. I think that you just saved yourself.
Not even because you'll beat them. Because, like, my friend Decker tells this great story about being attacked by this group of wild dogs on a beach in Mexico, I believe. And there was all these dogs, and he, like, tried to get all big and scare them away, and they knew he was full of shit. And so he's like, oh crap, I'm gonna die. So he finds the alpha and he looks it dead in the eyes and he goes, all right, even if they kill me, like, I'm gonna kill you, so you're fucking dead. And then that scared the alpha, and then all the other dogs saw him get scared, and then they all ran away.
Yeah.
And so to me, that there was something about the fact that he's like, even if I die, like, you're going with me. Like, that kind of attitude, you don't even have to threaten people that you'll win. You just need to threaten people that it won't be worth it.
I will not throw my hands up and surrender. There will be no white flag.
I would recommend against singing that, though.
No, Dido,
I think there are better defenses.
If you can sing Dido with your fucking bloody blade, there will be no white flag upon my door. Yeah. And, you know, I so want to maintain, and I say maintain. I don't think well, it depends on where you are, But I think that one of the things that I appreciate so much from seeing things get close to where I thought that chaos was unfolding. Now it's like it may not, but also there are actually it seems like we go intense on this program and there's no filter, but there are conversations that I would like to have with you, Chris, not live, that are super, super dark about something recently. And my thoughts about this spring and summer. Which is not I'm not sure. I just like, I have evidence that the tinder box covered in gasoline is like a little more intense actually than it was when the orange fellow was the guy, because you were subduing. There was millions of well-armed and some of them quite deranged people who were at least subdued by this idea that their guy was in. And I think that everything will be avoidable. Anyway, getting back to the rosy thing that I was going to say, which isn't necessarily rosy. It's like, it's the whole shadow worky thing. It's like, I'm aware of this. We're avoiding this. So, but I want to maintain a reality, a neighborhood, a societal situation where it is an option to not go there, you know? But back that was not an option back in the day, like Vlad the Impaler time, you know? Like think about how much broadcasting that level of scariness, like just how much trouble it saved you in medieval times.
I can't even imagine, man. And like, that's one of the really, really interesting things about it is it's hard for modern Western minds to really grasp how necessary and helpful that kind of brute savagery can be. And like how, and also what that implies about the world around you and the people that you share it with, that those kinds of measures would actually be helpful. Like, I think it's really valuable. It's a really valuable practice to really contemplate that regularly.
Mm-hmm. There's
and the degree to which you need it in your life.
Well, I hope you don't need it so much, you know, or I hope that we can usher in an age where you don't need it.
Sure, but you do need it now. Because at the very least, there are fake people out there that are trying to find people to manipulate, and you want to communicate to them that you are not one of them.
Yeah, you need it in the contemporary sense. It can unfold in a way that has nothing to do with violence. It's just about confrontation, you know. But also,
it's just like bad relationships, and people can steal shit from you, and like there's just a lot of perpetrators out there, and you just want to communicate that you're not an easy mark.
Yeah. There's this thing that I keep having these experiences with Russians, where it's like, oh man, for this amount of years in my life, I think that it was societally signaled to me that y'all were some sort of scary, you know, and I find it very interesting that the hedgehog is very common in Russian children's children's stories things.
Really?
Like, yeah, the hedgehog. And it's like, what is a hedgehog? It's this adorable little soft, little fluffy, like shrew thing with all these spikes, you know?
Yeah.
And I just keep having, you know, it's obviously it's stupid and incomplete to have 3,000 experiences with a certain identity group or ethnic group. And then
I'm an American and I literally have a hedgehog tattooed on my arm right here.
Awesome. Look into it. My friend Jay Rose, who is fluent in Russian, his mom is Russian. He's told me a bunch about like they don't coddle their kids. Like the stories are brutal because and what I'm thinking is going on there. So there's this trope. There's this Russian trope of like we instead of expecting things will always be good and optimal and then being disappointed when they're shitty. The base state is expecting that everything will be unsurprisingly lifey, you know, fucking or you know, difficult, rough, that it's a cold world. So then you're delighted when it's not, you know? And that seems to me to be a good, like that seems, you know, on the robust anti-fragile side of things, right? And it seems to make a lot of sense. And it's a place where there's brutal winters. I live in a place where there's brutal winters. And I noticed that that's a thing that is a Michigan trait you know, sometimes is that to be a little bit just in tune with. It's not always good, you know, but I just keep having experiences with, and just like the talking head internet celebrities. Like when I say celebrity, sometimes I'll say a person that is a celebrity to me, and people are like, who's that? It's like, oh yeah, I forgot. I like have a very what's it called? I love that the menu is becoming is more specialized. But yeah, several Russians that are in my mind, and I constantly that there's these certain cultural tropes that I pick up on, but they're like just like the most like obvious to me, like sweethearted individual with a could signal a spiky shell or see, you know, and it's like that seems you know, survivalist, and yeah, I just and I
there
love
also
curious.
meet reciprocal needs.
Hmm?
And there also would meet like reciprocal needs, you know, because like big tough person is if they're not entirely closed off, is gonna want like some soft, sweet mushiness in their life. Plus protecting it gives them purpose. And then like the soft, sweet, mushy thing, like softens and sweetens and mushes the hard thing while also getting the protection. And so it's like a nice little symbiotic little thing.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that I sometimes bring that out of people, particularly in you know, face to face. It's funny that didn't be a thing that we used to say. Now it's like I had a in-person interaction the other day. For those of you just walking into the theater in 2536, like there was this pandemic in 2020. We're in 2021 now, and a lot of us have had a lack of in-person social interacting. But yeah, like I'll notice at Burning Man, I'll have a lot of these times where it's like, whoa, I seem to have this effect on people where they like at a pace that is shocking, like go from a super hard and, you know, trying to signal this like this, you know, toughness, coolness, you know, what's the word, being swagger, you know. And I'm like this very like, hi, yeah, yeah, and then like I'll notice, or just the, you know, the presence of Fractal the Magical Turtle. I've seen that cause adults to cry and have this reaction. And then I've had that sometimes verbalized as like, I haven't had my child spoken to in decades. So it was this therapeutic event to have my child interacted with. You know, the inner child, you know.
Yeah, wow. I really miss Burning Man. Fuck.
I do too, and that probably ain't happening this year. Our regional just got canceled. Lakes of Fire.
That's a fucking bummer. I really miss Burning Man.
Sanchez says that's why male beauty is so complicated. We have to balance being scary to men but being attractive to women.
I don't know. I think they're the same thing.
To some.
I mean, the ones I want.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's so you know, it honestly, it has been a thing of a great source of pain and personal development in my life. What to do about, should I be masculine? Should I be tough? Should I be hard? Should I be hard as in like tough, not hard as an erect? There is a time.
I don't know. I think it comes down to what do you want to be.
You know what I want to be, Chris? Whatever the fuck I feel like in the moment. That's how I want to be. And I want a world where it's just like, oh, you feel like being this? I want a world where somebody shows up who doesn't usually wear dresses and they're wearing a dress. And it's just like, oh yeah, an adult made a choice. Okay. Not even mentionable. Or perhaps like if it seems like that person would like it to be mentionable, a compliment and a that. But like, I want us to be what I think virtual reality situations will render that sort of an awareness of just like, people tend to make choices. Sometimes they veer in different directions. Sometimes somebody shows up in something that contradicts what you thought their identity had solidified around. I just want to be that. And I totally have times where I want to be very effeminate and things that I'm not usually. And then isn't
that your answer?
Huh?
So isn't that your answer?
Yeah, I guess just fluidity, radical fluidity.
Radical fluid.
But for me, it's not. For me, it's not an appearance thing. That's the thing. It's just for me, it's like I tend to like to. For me, it's an ADHD thing for me. Like I have 5 of the same outfit. I wear the exact same thing almost every day.
Oh, I do too. I pretty much only have black shirts and white shirts, plain ones.
Yeah,
and then I have like 2 pairs of pants, 3. I just bought a new pair of pants. Bought a new pair of shorts actually. Check them out. I sewed some stuff on them. They got patches. They're pretty awesome.
I want to learn to sew.
It's pretty fun. I think I've sewed stuff on most of my clothes, like this hoodie, and even my t-shirt.
Straight up peace sign. Is there something going on with that peace sign on your hoodie?
It's just John.
It's just that's all it is.
But I do have this, which I think is really cool. This is actually a one-of-a-kind hoodie. I am the only person in the world that has a Captain Kangaroo hoodie. Captain Kangaroo is this really dope punk rock bar in Osaka, Japan. And I went there with some friends, and my friend knows the owner, and we were shown a very good time. And they gave us a shirt that is way too fucking big for me. And the place is amazing. They let me DJ for 2.5 days, and the owner showed us his penis, and it was a great time.
I want to mention one thing, even though I want to avoid politics, but this is based on that. Sanchez, which is great comments, by the way, Sanchez. Thank you for participating. Act weak when you are strong. Act strong when you are weak. The Art of War. I just watched Hamilton for the first time the other day, and there's this part where he says, "Let me give you some advice. Talk less. Smile more. Don't let the people know what you're against and what you're for." And that's, very, very obvious that in war and politics, that it's not always good to show your hand. It's not good to show your hand in chess or poker. I saw Rush Limbaugh, conservative talk show host, died, and it's my first thought was, well, I know some liberals, left wing identifying people who are right now posting about that they love it and that they're dead. And that was my first thought. It was like, I know some people who are, the memes are going to be pouring out. They're going to be memes, celebrating this. And I saw a friend of mine posting a bunch of memes, like arguing sincerely for like, we're not going to show you respect when you didn't show respect for these people and this people, and you've been this kind of hateful your whole life. And I started typing a response to her of just like, I get you. I didn't like any of his expressions, either. That was a career of pushing against a lot of my values. But it's just, have you just think about that it's not strategic. Even if these are flat out your political enemies, is it strategic to come out as someone who will laugh on someone's grave? It's like, this is, we are causing the problem that we are in. And I understand that takes immense patience. And I'm willing, if I see a funny meme, I'll laugh, but it's like, that just occurred to me that it's like, man, do you want to be in a game where we spit on each other's graves? Like, do you want to, is that the conversation that we want?
I might regret this, but I think it's funny.
Yeah, well, of course. Yeah, of course. You just think of the reactions, like there's something for those of us who have a dark sense of humor or a fucking terrible, super grimy sense of humor. It's like the fact of something being uber offensive, like that's what's funny. And when someone doesn't get that, it's like, you're making it funnier. Like I get that. I'm just like, there are people who it's like, they have all of their expressions seem to be insinuating that you're serious about making the world better. And it's like, do you think we make the world better by ejaculating on someone's headstone?
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, especially because it's political, and so you kind of draw like a whole ideology into it, and then you draw in all the people that are associated with that ideology, and then it creates a lot more division. So yeah. I get what you're saying.
Back to the question of evil. It's like, That
It's
is just
hilarious.
so obvious to me with contrasting political opinions. It's like
the Ginsburg memes were fire when they came out.
I don't really remember a good zinger.
Man, I can't really bring one up, but I remember thinking like, "Fuck, this is fucked," but like, good one.
Oh yeah, well, and that's what's so great about memes and the internet. It's like, I mean, it's and humor in general. Like, I love wretched, cringy humor when it's clever.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it can be so clever that it's feel like, okay, now I would almost call this like classy, because I hate cringe for the sake of cringe. Like, I hate shock jock humor. Like, I hate shocking for the sake of shocking. It's so when you gauche, it's fucking, it's, but like, yeah, I just saw that today and I was like, I already know what's happening. There's a bunch of people just so excited to make memes, just fucking, just. And yeah, I'm not wagging my finger. I'm just saying, I'm just strategically, you know, it's like.
No, I get it. Anytime someone dies, you know that one side is going to make fun of them. And then the other side is going to be like, how could you possibly make fun of dead people? And then the next person will die on the other side and the roles will be completely reversed and the exact same thing will happen on the other side. It's
like, do you like this game? Do you want the game to be like this? Then it's like, you know, maybe, and I'm not even saying don't do it. I'm just saying like it might be strategic to keep that to your inner circle, you know, a private phone call. Hey, did you hear? You know,
well, because I don't know. Maybe it's just because I don't care about politics, but like, I more kind of like, I would be like, who cares if like I wouldn't be the type of person to be like, I can't believe you're laughing about Rush Limbaugh. Like you're supposed to be the what, and you're laughing about Rush Limbaugh. I'd be more like talk to that person and be like, what's your deal? Like, you know, you laugh about fucked up shit too, right?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Yeah, the shame. And it's almost like had a thought that I'm not going to say. But the shame seems to be the problem a lot in a lot of areas in my life. It's like there is a whole world of enjoyment and freedom of mobility and increasing my capacity to have actual like long-term positive effect in this world, that the hindrance is my shame about something that I intellectually know I shouldn't be ashamed of, but it's like, but I'll get judgment for it. Like I just feel like I gotta get comfortable with that. I gotta get comfortable with knowing that it's like if I make any declarative statement, I just lost 30% of you. This person now fucking wants to, you know, just absolutely hates me because of this part or this part. But what helps me with this is realizing that it's like there's not a single thinker that I like everything that they say, you know. There's and a big one for me is some of the like
but treat shame like a psychedelic experience that is a bit uncomfortable.
Yeah.
If you just treat it like, if you really open up to it and really allow like the experience to flood over you, like it's a bad experience for sure, but treat it like a psychedelic experience that you know is temporary and it will pass and it's just a thing you experience. If you really, really open up to it, it can start to feel pleasurable after a while.
Yeah.
Because the experience of it leaving your body is what starts to feel pleasurable, and the space around it as it does, that starts to feel pleasurable. But in the beginning, you have to like hit the gut punch of like letting it flow through you, and that's when you have to treat it like medicine. But if you can treat it like a psychedelic experience and get used to it, everything changes very, very quickly.
Yeah, that reminds me of like the meditation visual that I've been told of, like, treat an invasive thought like when you stumble across a deer in the woods, you know, it's like, or you know, a rare animal in the wild. It's like, oh, look at it. Interesting.
No, you should treat it like a horrible monster that's trying to kill you, but you should let it and then realize that it's fine.
Yeah. Oh, and I wanted to say that I was kind of putting on a face for that moment just as a thought experiment. And Sanchez, you're entirely right. Rush Limbaugh was an extreme case. So was like Fred Fred felt, like Rush because they spouted hate. They weren't just like, I'm a conservative and there's some people who disagree with me. No, they like Fred Phelps, for example. When Fred Phelps died, like people really leaned in. It's like, good, ding dong, the witch is dead. Fuck you, die. Yeah, because he was hateful his entire life and was just, and his being had become that. It's like, the idea of like, you're not going to bring Darth Vader back. Like, look, Luke, I know you want your dad, but your dad is gone. He's more machine now than man.
He got to be a ghost. He's good now. He's redeemed. These are Catholic rules.
Yeah.
Jedis have Catholic rules.
The idea that the truth would kill you, I think that is a thing sometimes. I noticed that with, I've known people before where it's like, if you could see what we see or what, something like a psilocybin experience would strip away, it might be too much for you.
Oh, for sure.
Because you've been digging and digging and digging.
Yeah. But if you treat your emotions like those psychedelic experiences, you can get comfortable with them. And then shame stops being a thing. That's one of the best things I ever did for myself, was get comfortable with shame. That has changed my life more than most things I've ever done ever.
Ooh, listen to this. Wow, you're fucking prolific and profound, Sanchez. Whenever I think of shame, I introduce it to death. For what is shame in the face of death?
Yeah, that's good.
An experience.
Hot fire.
I experience shame. I would like it to stop. I would like shame to stop being a thing that stops me from doing things that I know are part of my porpoise.
And you gotta let it in, brother. You gotta let it in, brother.
It sure helps.
The altar of your shame.
It really helps when you know that you're loved.
Maybe someone needs to spit in your mouth.
That's exactly what I seek now that we've had that time. Well, this is, now I'm a hypocrite. I'm a total hypocrite because I just talked about how much I like it to be verbalized before, if somebody wants me to do something, that, maybe, something like choking, which now is just so fucking mainstream. I don't remember the last time that
choking is the new holding hands.
Huh? Choking is about, but still, you don't want to go around assuming that everybody wants to be choked, but it has been over a decade since I recall somebody who wasn't very clear about that being a good. But anyway, I'm being hypocritical in that of like, people always need to verbalize, what they're into when it's something edgy like that, because if I was fucking someone and they spat in my face, my reaction would be cool. I would be like, whoa, and the fact that it just came out of nowhere, wow, you are a fucking
cool. To the moon. That's hilarious. Yeah, no. You should probably discuss those things post haste. I mean, that's the thing. Like, if you're just into like holding hands and kissing and you want like I just want a pretty person to touch me, then it's like, there's not really a whole lot of conversation that needs to happen there. But like as soon as you start to scale into like, if you're not into it, it's trauma territory, then like conversations begin to be needed before even approaching things like that.
And Sanchez admits now that he stole that line from Steve Jobs. So.
Whatever, appropriate placement is still good. I'll take it. That's a damn good practice.
Well, I'm gonna go change my Tinder and OkCupid and just Facebook and Clubhouse bio. I'm just gonna change all of my bios to I'm looking for somebody to spit in my mouth.
Hashtag shame boy.
That's that would be a really good rap side project. I'm the shame boy. Yeah,
make a song, bro. Make a song called Shame
I just
Boy.
like gloat about the things I'm ashamed of and how vulnerable I can be about.
Yeah, make it thing. I'm gonna go play Ghost of Tsushima. Have you played that game?
Sounds like Ghost of Tsushima.
It is. Have you played it? It's the funnest thing.
I want video games in my life so bad. I feel like I need a friend. I just don't make the decision. I don't make the decision for myself to just, I know I could just go and buy a system and a game, You don't even need to buy games anymore, right? You just download them on the thing. Is that like the new thing?
I'll play with you, bro. I'll play with you. I need someone to play with. I have no one to play with.
I want to play video games. I want to play video games bad. I want to stream while playing video games. I think that would be so good for us to be Twitch video game.
Diablo, we never did anything with that.
Because Diablo 3 is fucking lame. I'm sorry. I fucking tried to appreciate that. That shit is fucking whack as fuck.
It is. I'll give you that. So get a PlayStation then. Get a PlayStation.
Okay.
There's all kinds of games. Because in this one, Ghost of Tsushima, right? It's a samurai game where the sword fighting is like hella. I don't know about realistic, but it's like technical, and you actually have to like use a sword. And you can go on 2-player and multiplayer missions on varying difficulty levels where we go through and we have to like fight ninja samurais and Mongols and all kinds of shit. And we can do it together, bro.
Oh, wow. Wow. Yeah, this looks good. This looks real good. Oh,
there's a multiplayer version that I just discovered over the weekend.
Oh my God, it looks fucking fire, dude.
It's amazing, bro.
It looks
amazing. And it's so beautiful. And like the story is super engaging. Like I've been trying to 100% complete it. It's that good.
Whew. I used to love this game Dynasty Warriors, where you're just through motherfuckers, but it was so not graphic. And I need, if there's gonna be violence, if there's gonna be violence, I personally want it to be extremely graphic, bloody violence. If there's gonna be violence. I like things that aren't violent, but if you're gonna do violence, don't do this fucking G.I. Joe like how the Ninja Turtles cartoon was, where like they slash somebody and it's just like impact and there's this like laser swipe and there's no open wounds. Like I want Mortal Kombat blood flying
level
horrific. If there's gonna be violence, then it should be horrific in video games.
I agree. I saw a cartoon or something the other day where somebody like stabbed somebody and then like no blood came out and I was like,
stop.
What? Stop. But anyways, this game is absolutely fantastic. And I need someone to play with. I don't have anyone to play with.
I would love to play this game. So I need to get a PlayStation 4.
Yeah. I mean, or a 5. You might as well get the 5 at this point.
It's going to be considerably more.
Yeah. I mean, you get a 4 and I could still play with you online.
Well, I'm going to look.
Or when I get a 5, I can even give you my 4.
Okay, I'm looking at my crypto portfolio to see if I.
Yeah, how you doing on that, bud? Ever since you told me to, thank you for making me do that. By the way,
it's the Bitcoin specifically went to 52,000 today. That's huge.
I know. I've officially a little bit after you told me to do this, I put in like $750 into Bitcoin, and I have officially I'm like $10 under doubling my investment in like a month.
I picked a good horse. I picked the graph earlier, and I never, at no point did I have a substantial amount. I still, in my entire life, I have never been $10,000 in the black. My entire money and career, it has been between $11,000 of debt, and the most that I ever had was $3,000 until pandemic. And then there was a time where the unemployment all came at once. and then there was a moment where I had $5,000 and I immediately bought a car. But this is the most I've ever, but I also, it's not in the black because I could lose it all. I do not have that. I do not have that savings, but I have learned to take finances now, something that is not just my attitude of it for so long was just, this is something that I have to do so that I can do stuff. But now it's like, oh, I get it. I get why we economy. I get it. I wouldn't even use the phrase necessary evil. I would say that these are tokens to the arcade. This is how we peace. This is for now. This is how we peace. This is how we have peace.
And for those of us who are lucky enough to be in a position to do so, which is a lot of us, is you just get rewarded for putting value in.
Yeah, that idea of and just knowing how much value I just shared for years makes me feel like I'll be able to tout for the rest of my life. Well, from the age of born to late 20s, perhaps even 30, I was just totally giving value away, and then sometimes prostituting myself for an hourly rate for something that I would never.
I'm happy to hear this. I'm happy to hear this. You deserve to be making money.
Oh, now it's like I'm strategizing now, because if I don't strategize and have a situation in place where there are others around me like, no, you don't give that away for free, or like I will still give it away for free. It's like I'll still be me, and I'll still be on. But yeah, the idea of like sales funnels and just value, just having a better relationship with that. My value is valuable. Yeah.
And also being the person to monetize it, like it's actually a little bit naive to say that however much value you put in is what you get out. That's actually very naive to say. However much money you can successfully monetize over time is what you get out of it. And so creating value is half of it. You also have to like monetize and market and actually structure and put everything into a profitable structure in order to actually profit off it. But the fact that we can do that, and essentially the game is who can solve the biggest problems for the most amount of people for the best price, like that's a cool game to play.
Yep, and it has some problems, some of which may be potentially world ending, in terms of like pollution, fossil fuels, stuff like that. There's a whole bunch of wretchedness and back end trade offs, as there is with literally everything in reality. Love is a trade off. Like deciding to emotionally invest in a human being is a huge trade off. It's going to hurt when they die. It's going to hurt when they go away. Love has a trade off. And
it's a risk. They could totally turn out to not be who you thought they were, and it could not only disappear, but it could blow up in the most terrible of ways.
Yeah, and getting cozy about these things, they cease to be like you're being pessimistic about reality. I'm not pessimistic about reality. I am naively optimistic, knee-jerkingly, or I have been that for a long time, and now I'm finding that my mental health and my just sturdiness in the world and my capacity to, I think that on the other end of this intensive shadow working, ceremony of the last almost 2 years now of a lot of isolation, I think that I will have more potency in the way of positivity now that I am very well acquainted with the darkness. And
agreed.
Yeah. And trade-offs. That it's like, you don't got to be stressed out by that. All reality is a bunch of trade-offs. Like every decision that you're making is a bunch of trade-offs. Like everything settles its way into something that you're comfortable with, Well,
also it's like kind of what I was saying about shame. It's like, if you can accept the trade-off as not bad, but just like a part of things that just is, like, instead of trying to look at things as good, I try and like look at them as neutral a lot of times for things like this, where instead of looking at it as good, it's just like it's neither. It's just a thing that is like you have to have trade-offs, and there's good and bad to everything, myself included. And the more I can accept the bad, so to speak, or at least the things that I don't like in me, the easier it becomes to accept those things in other people and in the world itself. And then as I become more okay with myself, then the trade-offs don't really feel like trade-offs. They just feel like things to work with, like tools. Like a hammer can't do everything. A screwdriver can't do everything, and a saw can't do everything, but you don't begrudge them for that. You don't even think about it. You just use a hammer for what you use a hammer for, and you use a screwdriver for what you use a screwdriver for. And that's just kind of all there is to it. And
that's the answer to neurodiversity. Every human is a different tool for a different task. Sort of thing.
So let them do what they want to do, and reward them for the more they put into it.
Yeah. And figure out what you're extra sharp at. Do you have 2 minutes for me to read? I wrote a thing.
Yeah, do it.
Oh God, this is great. So it's going to be in a song as a rap verse, and it's actually the rap verse in the song that is the theme of the Nonsensus. The
future's gonna be just as weird as now.
So tomorrow I'm recording the verse of that, and it's so I'm going to read it as a spoken word.
That's cool.
The future's gonna be a lot of things, I promise thee. It's always on the rise, like the quality of our finest memes. Keep finding new and inventive ways to arrive at these same archetypal stations with new ungodly technologies. We're totally in the future, so what now? Well, we bout to fuck the fuck around and find the fuck out. Of all the times to arrive here, I think we lucked out because now they got AIs that make highly authentic cum sounds. Society is a high-risk science experiment. The greed to fear index reflects we tend to veer and shift. Put all the things on one planet and stir it virulently until there's a species with digits, dildos, and pyramids. I'm merely here in the audience watching it unfold. I have significant stock in robotic fuck dolls. I'm still in talks with the Illuminati CEO. You think you're enterprising? Wait till you hear what that cuck holds. The future's gonna be a bunch of people being fucking plebes, but also everything you could ever imagine, including the love and magic that justifies all the suffering. I'd love to compromise. I'd love to promise you something solid, but honestly, it's gonna be as lovely or bleak as we make it. I believe that the world will always be just as weird as my mind is, and I'm confident that our future could be as fucked up as our past. So don't be twats, because the future will be as vile or as kind as we are, because we set that bar. Excuse you if you prefer that it not be like that, but these are facts. The future is going to be just as weird as now is.
I wish I had applause sounds. We really do need one of those soundboard things. Yeah.
Yeah, I got
Beautiful.
that. I got that.
There we go. Bro, use that. Use that more, okay? Would you please? Oh, yes. Save that for when we have interviews.
Yeah.
That's good, bro. That's good.
So we're gonna do a Clubhouse room soon on Shadow Work. Just as soon as you're ready to, as soon as you want to.
Cool. So my girlfriend ordered a new phone that will be here on Monday. So I will have an iPhone that I can use on Monday. Monday
night would be great. You are going to love this. This is life-changing. It is life-changing. It is so great. And yeah, there's that capitalism TM thing about right now. It only works for iPhone users. It's that good of an experience that I'm just like, shit. Okay. You know, I would prefer that there not be a turnstile that some of my friends who are Apple haters are not going to participate. But it's like
I guess it's coming to joy too.
It's bringing so much joy to my life that it's totally, it's like, okay, you won capitalism. You created something of so much value that I'm willing to put a value of mine kind of aside for a bit because I need it. I need to participate in this. These conversations are so amazing that I forget about what any side stuff like that. It's like these conversations are exactly the conversations I want to be having. It feels so human. It's so good. I love it.
Wow. All right. I'll see you on Monday.
Okay.
Actually, you know what? That means next Wednesday we can do one in there. Next Wednesday's Nonsensus can be in Clubhouse.
See, okay, maybe I do like doing that. I almost feel like it would be best for maybe us to start doing it on Clubhouse, or maybe like we meet at 5:30 in here, and then we do like it's a half hour here, and then it moves to there. Something where it's like, because this would be better if we want to have us two thing. This is cool. Plus,
I'm just gonna like tape the iPhone to my screen right here, right next to my camera.
That's possible.
We could just do both.
That would be great. Yeah. Well, I mean, if that works out audio wise,
because I actually have a stand here for my phone that I can just like click it in right next to the camera, and we can do both.
Right. Because we've been practicing and we've been having great conversations that we really enjoy, but now it is time to do the thing. Okay, let's get like it is a rare moment where our audience doing these nonsensuses breaks 10 people. It's very rare.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but it's been fun. It's been enjoyable, and we've been working on the craft of it. But Clubhouse is great. It's just great. I love it. I'm having so much fun.
All right, let's do it.
All right. Happy reality, merry existence, everybody. See you, Chris. Bye.
Good game.
Bye-bye.
The future's gonna be just as